Welcome to the Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors podcast, your home for the latest products and news in the shooting sports, hunting, and the great outdoors. And now, here are your hosts, Jake Cawthon and Jason Westmoreland.
Hey everybody, it is Jake and Jason here from Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors.
You jumped ahead on me on that one.
Did I?
All of a sudden, I updated our little soundboard here, and a new little icon popped up. I'm trying to figure out what the heck it was, and here we are. We're live.
Ish. I was racing you because you always blurted out before me. So I was like, I'm going to get it today.
It's my favorite thing to do.
I know.
I know you get all excited. You get up there with your hands doing the things. Yeah. So here I am, beating you to the punch, and I lost. I got distracted.
That's all right. It happens.
So it's another wonderful podcast. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. This one is, well, the last one, it got really technical because Dustin came in and, rocked out and did a great job and told us probably, I know more about the AK now than I did starting, and I knew a fair amount. But this one, just because, it's already getting hot, it's the middle of May here in Texas. We've already had over 90 degrees. And because of all the rain we had the last several weeks, it's like 900% humidity.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go out during the daytime. That means all my fun's happening at the nighttime when it cools down a little bit. Plus the fact that, I have no melanin in my skin, being, Irish, that me and the sun don't get along. So we're pig hunting. We're having fun. Just scored a new piece of property up near
Allegedly.
us.
We'll see.
He said, whenever we're ready, let's go.
Cool. Well, guys, if you are listening, before we jump into everything, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing and telling people and liking and subscribing and doing all that good stuff, because
the numbers as we
growing.
Can track it. Oh, it's awesome.
We dig it. And we're trying to get more and more professional. We're taking the critiquing seriously. We're learning, guys. So cut us a little slack, but tell us. You know what I mean? We listened back to, we got some good critiquing from the one we had with Jeremy Beeston.
We talked too much.
We talked too much. We talked over them.
We just got so excited.
I know. We do. We get excited. But we're learning. And we were able to go back and watch it and be like, oh, yeah, we can do better than this.
Oh, yeah.
So
is there something you don't like? Let us know. Is there something that you do or something that you just want to hear about?
If there's a topic you want to hear about, or... Dude, we're down.
We're only so creative. We will run out of stuff to talk about.
Even if it. Ooh, well, maybe. I don't know. We got a big calendar coming up here over the next few months, so we'll have plenty to talk about. Mm-hmm. But thank y'all very much for letting us do what we do. And speaking of doing what we do, on top of doing the podcast, obviously we have Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors. We have a store, and it's a really nice one. And we would love for you to come out and check it out, because it's super cool. I think
it is known as the best little gun store in Texas.
But, well, it's medium. We grew.
We're the best medium.
But it is probably the coolest one. And it's the only one I've ever been in. When you walk in, first thing, there's a bar stretched out, and there's like, hey, what would you like to drink?
Well, if I don't want to toot my own horn here, but if you go back to our like our Google reviews and stuff like that, that is probably the largest theme of it all is. The moment I walked in, I was welcomed. They treated me like, I've never been there before, but they treated me like they've known me forever. They weren't pushy. They were understanding. They weren't condescending.
I have honestly been waiting for either PETA or an anti-gun group or something to get a hold of the Google reviews, because they figured out how to get everybody's social media shut down, hate speech and this and that. I'm surprised they haven't just bombarded the reviews. And if they're out there listening, I hope I didn't give you an idea. Damn it.
Nah, they probably did.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Well, no.
But anyways, thank you.
They'll work that out.
So where Jake's leading to is,
is these wonderful things on the table there if you're watching us on the YouTubes.
If they can seize them, these little guys.
The thermals.
And thermals have changed the game with hunting, especially, obviously, night hunting.
And we're going to primarily talk about Texas, but, you're seeing more and more states kind of open up. Kind of like how suppressors became more and more mainstream. Yeah. You're seeing more and more states, maybe not across the board on everything, but especially, open the door up for more predator hunting and stuff like that with thermals or nighttime hunting. You're seeing a change across the U.S. with it.
Because that's the ultimate trifecta, right?
Mm-hmm.
A semi-automatic rifle, a thermal scope, and a suppressor. And by the way, just a quick interjection.
That's the gun holy trinity right there.
The old the suppressors. They're coming back pretty quick right now, guys. In case you didn't know it, if you file as an individual, we're seeing our fastest turnaround time's been 16 hours, but we're averaging under 2 weeks. So compared to 10 months,
And there's a lot of variables to that, but
Yeah.
but
for the most part, not everybody,
pretty
but
dang fast.
for the most part. So, but you put those three together, and why is that so effective? For one, thermal is that is so next level. It obviously thermal, unlike night vision. Night vision looks at the that infrared spectrum. It's a camera that basically picks up a light spectrum that we and animals can't see.
and amplifies it.
It amplifies it. Thermal, on the other hand, goes off a temperature variances, body heat.
Like the Predator.
Like just exactly. That's what the Predator had. So you can scan across a field really quick and know whether there's anything out there or not. And depending on the thermal you have and the distance it is, you can identify it, not just acquire it, but identify it at a great distances sometimes. So it's pretty cool. And we're going to talk all about it.
And the best part about that is, historically, you either had to nighttime hunting has evolved over the years, right? You
Tremendously.
started with basically nothing or a little, maybe a headlamp.
Yep.
And then we went to the spotlight.
The one-eyed dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Then you went to the spotlight, and then you started some very early entry into night vision, digital night vision kind of started. Thermal was there, but it was really expensive. But
Insane. Yeah.
But like any other piece of technology, whether it be a TV or a camera or anything else, new technology always starts high, but as it develops, it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And that's where we're at with thermal at the moment. I don't really know how low it's going to go.
It's already lower than I ever thought it would go.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And that's actually this one right here, the AGM TS 19-256. That's the model. But it's getting to the point now that there is an optic for every budget, and because of that, you can go out and protect your livestock, protect your property, whether and it's not just from
Animals?
Well, I was going to say
It could be from animals.
you're not protecting your animals.
Man, bear, pig.
Man, he is a threat that no one's addressing, sir. I'm super serial.
Have super cereal.
But everyone thinks when it comes to predator hunting, whether it's a coyote or in some states a wolf or bobcat or mountain lion, something like that. But we have, for where we're at in the Brazos Valley of Texas, hay production is a major monetary cash crop around here, and because of that, pigs coming in and damaging hay meadows are costing a lot of the farmers here a ton of money. And that's why these things have become so prevalent. We sell so many of them is because there are multi-use, they're multi-need tools. And then I'll get to it here in a little while, some of the funnier things people have used these for that are a little more outside the box, let's put it that way.
So I guess let's start on some different brands. The brands we carry in the store is, I guess, what we'll focus on. So there's three main ones that we like in the store.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about why, too.
And it's a coincidence. It's not only that we love supporting Texas brands.
True.
But it just turns out the three best ones on the market right now happen to be three companies that are based in Texas, which is freaking awesome.
That's because of freedom, sir.
That's right. Way to go, guys. So we'll start with AGM.
So they're a legacy company.
Yes.
They originally started as Armasight.
Yep.
They were around forever. They were some of the early pioneers of thermal and night vision scopes. They sold to FLIR, which when FLIR got out of the consumer market, they were able to, it didn't violate the non-compete anymore when they sold the company. They reestablished as AGM. It's the initials of the three owners. So it's a new company that's been around for a while, if that makes any sense.
No, it's crazy. Somebody like Armasight's back trying to do it again. But good luck, because, man, AGM is good. Now, the next one I'm gonna is Pulsar. Pulsar's out of Mansfield, Texas. Another great company. Mr. James Sellers owns it. He loves his employees, and they're really passionate about what they do. So we've been out several times to their facility, and just...
They're kind of like the Google of the thermal game, but in a conservative manner. Not so California-ish.
No, definitely not. And
And here's some of his stories. They're as opposite as you can possibly get.
yeah, he definitely started at the bottom and crawled his way up. Through some wild and woolly places to get there, and then Iray, and I'm going to put those 3 that I just listed. That's going to be the order when I'm showing them to somebody that I'll normally show it to them. So I normally go AGM, Pulsar, and then Iray. Reason being is it's different levels. Most people don't need the top shelf. So like 90% of people don't need the top shelf.
And when you come in, if you're in the market for a thermal or night vision for this matter, we're a little more focused on the thermal side just because that's what we sell more of. We'll break it down. We'll discuss how you're hunting, what you're hunting, how often. And we ask a bunch of questions like that. And while we're asking these questions, we're really weeding down our suggestions. And for the average guy that goes out a time to a month if he's lucky, because you got kids sports and wife wants you to go on a date night or work gets in the way, so you don't get to go as much as you want. But when you do go out, you want to have a really good time and have some decent equipment. There are options in that category that are on definitely the budget side of things, or if you're trying to be the next YouTube influencer. Or get sponsored out there.
The other ones,
you're doing it for money. This is a side gig that you're helping farmers and ranchers.
Or the predator competitions. You're having to make long shots, do a target acquisition at extreme distances. That's another big one. Or around here, a huge one. You might have a $500,000 stud bull on your property and calves running around that are worth $10,000, $15,000. And the last thing anybody ever wants to do is make an uh-oh.
So, but I think you're right. The first suggestion would be
AGM. And here's why I would normally go AGM. A lot of the guys who come in and are getting these, they don't, they'll first thing they'll tell you is, I don't want to get something I have to have a college education for.
And they're not wrong. Some of these, we're tech savvy. We play with these every single day. And I was trying to zero one for a guy yesterday, and I was like, golly, these are a lot of sub menus to get where I'm trying to go.
They are. If you're not fluent in the thermal menus, it can be a little daunting. Fortunately, and this is what I tell everybody, the difference in any of these, in having the coolest thing, the most effective tool in your hunting toolbox, and having something that you're just totally frustrated with is literally 10 minutes on YouTube. Because
the little YouTube University goes a long ways.
Every one of these manufacturers has tutorial videos, walkthroughs on these, but then there's another 100 people who have done the same thing, who might do it a little better or have their own style. Everybody likes different styles of teaching, and different personalities. So I tell everybody, go find the one that appeals to you the most, and walk through that and watch that video, and you're going to be like, oh, it's all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, this isn't that complicated. It's just, at first when it gets in your face, you're like, oh man, this is a lot, but it's not.
And AGM, he's right. It is the simplest button. There's no dial. There's no long click, short click, double click. It is as scaled down to a utilitarian thermal as you can get.
Yeah.
And so I'm following you there most of the time, and they tend to be the most budget friendly.
They are.
They're I don't want to say cheap because that makes it sound like they're not a quality unit, but they are definitely budget friendly compared to the field. So
the one he was talking about, the TS19 256S, it is it's right at entry level, $1,000.
Yeah.
You have target acquisition with that one at a little over 1,000 yards. And when I say target acquisition, think pretty decent conditions. Yeah. It's in the 70s.
Hey, there's something over there. Let's go look at it.
You're looking across an open pasture, and you can see something. I know this from experience. Like cow size, pig size, a little over 1,000 yards. Mm-hmm. That's where, hey, I see them out there. I'm not 100% sure what they are.
But we should go over there and check it out.
We should go over there and check it out. Now, the more you do this, the more experience you get going through these. You can figure out a herd of pigs just by the way they're moving and everything else. Probably 500 yards. Mm-hmm. Like, oh yeah, that's definitely. But I'm not taking that shot because what if I made a mistake? So they have true target identification under 200 yards.
Yeah. I mean, that's when you're pretty dang, that's when I can tell you the difference between a coyote and somebody's dog.
That's a big one.
A pig and a calf.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah. And so for most people, say they're just watching, around their property, they own 40, 50 acres, maybe have one little hay pasture or something. That's all they need. And the great thing about AGMs, like on all these, if we're carrying them in the store, they have to meet a certain standard, certain quality. They can't call them bomb proof, but I can say they're us proof.
That's beyond. That's bomb. That's bomb plus, sir.
I mean, we've got lots of stories of how they've been torture tested,
and here's my thing with the AGMs. Why I like to suggest them initially, and we'll pull everything out of the counter, let you go outside, sit on our picnic table, check them out.
That's absolutely true.
But what I like about the AGM is that value-added accessories is that they're the only one that includes an American Defense Manufacturing. It's the brand. They make them for AGM, but it's return to zero mount. And, for the guys on YouTube, this is an IRA just viewer. It's not a weapon side. It's just a viewer and we'll get to the advantageous side of that. But if you're trying to ball on a budget, and who's not, the AGM's nice because with that guaranteed return to zero mount, as long as you put it back in the same slot on the top of your rail, and I actually marked mine. I low tech that I went and bought some glow in the dark fingernail polish.
Yep.
And I put a dot on the bolt and I put a dot on my receiver. That way in the middle of the night, I just match dot to dot and click it back in. It's not necessarily what I call hole for hole. You're not going to go back to perfect zero.
But it's not far off.
But it's within a quarter to half inch, and it's dang sure minute a pig, right?
Yeah.
That I can ball on a budget. I can pop it off running as a monocular. Go, oh crap, there's something I need to go check out, or hey, there's some pigs over there, or coyote, or whatever it is. Click it right back in. I'm back on.
So I used to use the glow in the dark fingernail polish, and then I did one where I had little glow in the dark stickers and everything. Yep. But I tend to get night blind out there a lot, so I've gotten a bad habit, or a great habit. I always, when I zero it, I zero the rail on the very last picnic table where it can't go back any further. So as long as I know it's there, it's always going to go back to that spot. It's going to be the return to zero with that quick detach. So
I really like the AGMs. And the next two, I don't want to necessarily say this is an order per se. It's more of a personal preference with me.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Pulsar for a couple reasons. One, it's comfortability. I've been running them the longest.
Yeah.
And so I'm really comfortable with the menu settings. I'm really comfortable with the interface. But for me, and this is all anecdotal, this is just in my opinion.
Big words, sir.
I know. It was on the toilet paper this morning.
Nice.
That
Pee-wee's Playhouse.
I feel that they're all going to export the same. Whether you get a 256, a 384, a 640.
There we go.
Or the new, which is the 1280. Which, oh gosh. Anyways, we'll get that one at the end. They're all going to export the same resolution, but they don't always look the same through the objective, the ocular side. And so I think, in my opinion, Pulsar puts a larger screen back there because it is nothing more than just a digital camera, right?
Right.
And I think it's a higher resolution. So even if you compare 384 to 384 or 640 to 640, I think the image in the back is crisper, and that's why I like it. And then they've done a really good job historically with us with great customer service, great turnaround time.
Yeah,
and then they've really been some of the pioneers in the runtime.
Yep.
They do a really good job about pushing updates that not necessarily solve bug issues or software fixes, but if they find a way that they can make the CPU and the sensor chips and all the stuff like that all the guts to the inside operate at the same level but burn less electricity.
Yeah, more efficient.
They'll push an update through, and we've seen them to where all of a sudden, like, you woke up, there's a new update, you update it real fast because it all does it wirelessly, and then you got 30% more battery life.
Yeah, and now, and it's part of the evolution, right? With computer speeds and everything. But like this is their Thermion model. So the Thermion looks a lot like a traditional night scope or a traditional scope. I'm sorry. Cool thing is it has an onboard battery, but then it also has a spot for you to put the external rechargeable battery. It gives you and they give you 2 of them, and they give you 8 to 10 hours battery life. So you could go out all night, really 2 nights all night, and never have to recharge your battery. It comes with a battery charger, an external battery charger, but you can also plug this directly into the scope and charge, which freaking awesome if you're at the lease or you're powering out of your truck or something like that, because I'm not always carrying my charger around with me.
And then for us, number 3, our latest brand that had met the threshold, because that's really what this is. Yep. This isn't who makes who has the highest profit margin, who has the latest and greatest stuff. We're too small to sell crap, right? And
live and die by a reputation.
And that's why we don't sell ATN. If you come in the store, I'll more than happily tell you my story.
Yep.
And not AGM, like Adam, Tom,
AGM
Nora.
is awesome. ATN, not so much.
Yeah, like Adam, Tom, Nora. Not good. But, so iRay just recently met our threshold. And when it comes to that, when I say our threshold in store, it's for how robust it is, how it operates, ease of operation, the clarity, the resolution as you're running it, not only as you're running it, as well as you export it, so you can show that's really one of the best parts, showing your buddy your kill shots.
Yeah.
But the big one for me, and why I really like iRay, and I kind of push iRay, because there's a lot of people come in, and they're a little on the higher side of pricing, but there's a lot of people that come in that are super nervous about, hey, this is a $2,000, $3,000. Their top end's a $16,000 investment. Yeah, I said that right. 16, like 1-6 and then 3 zeros. Yeah. But holy crap, is it cool? So
you can almost see into the future with
and it, yeah,
it's incredible.
But at their heart, they're a piece of electronic, no different than your phone or a tablet or anything. Stuff can happen, right? A solder point on the motherboard goes bad. The battery messes up. It short circuits for some crazy reason. Anything that outside of your damage can happen, might happen, probably won't, but could. What impresses me the most with them is that if you ever have an issue, they're based out of Texas, so it's basically just a day to get it up to, they're what, Waxahachie? Something like that, Mansfield, somewhere around the Dallas-ish area. And so basically a day to get there. Then by corporate policy, they have 5 business days to solve it. And if they don't, they're going to mail you a brand new one. Not a refurb, not a, hey, we're waiting on a chip to come from China or any of that. Hey, sorry, we couldn't solve it. Here's a brand new one. Hope it doesn't happen
So if
again.
you are into the competitive predator hunting, where you cannot be without a thermal or you lose paychecks, this is a good way to lean to. Also, I think, for me personally, like they're the clearest to me. Their software, when I look through them, it catches my eye the best. It is, to me, I get the clearest picture.
Well, if you listen to our sales rep, they claim, and I haven't done my research into this, but I'm going to take him at his word because he's a great guy, that they are the #1 thermal chip producer in the world.
Yeah.
And they keep 0.1% of everything that they make, basically the cream of the crop, and they become iRay. Everything else is sold amongst the other brands.
I got you.
That's what he said. That's big words to say, but that's what he said.
Yeah, they are definitely they're clear, they're crisp, and another thing about all these guys that we have here, all our brands, going back to they have to meet a certain threshold. The customer service is a huge one. The warranty is another one. A lot of people are like, hey, what's my warranty when I walk out of here? Well, a minimum of 2 years for all of these.
Most of them are pushing 3 now.
Yep. And then on some 5. And then I've had the owners and vice presidents and stuff of some of these companies, basically they've all said the same thing. Hey, if we're still producing that model or we have parts in backstock, we're still going to fix it. And it's that type of thing that makes us, because if I drop $3,000-$4,000 on something and 2 years and a day later it breaks,
I'm gonna be so mad.
I'm gonna be mad. But speaking of, like, we sell we're one of the top brick and mortar thermal sellers in the state of Texas. We sell a ton of these, and we send very, very few back for repair.
I mean,
9 times out of 10, it's something a customer did.
And there's been some funny ones.
Dude, we had...
And here's the thing. So perfect example. I'm not going to say a name, but like this guy here. So if you notice on the bottom of it, for those on the YouTube, that there is all these little screw sections, and there's a cantilever mount basically that allows you to adjust it for your depth of field. So you get that right distance from your eyeball. Well, it only comes with 2 screws because their engineers decided, hey, it just needs 2 screws. Well, our customer, it's like, there's 2, 4, 6, 8 holes. Let's put 8 holes. Let's fill them up. And so he ended up going and finding screws that were the correct thread pitch and then screwing them in.
But not the right depth.
But not the right length. And he ended up pushing it all the way through the motherboard until it bulged out where this battery compartment in here is. And he's like, he brought it in, he goes,
so at first he didn't break and tell us. We noticed it, and we're like,
hey.
And then his wife or fiance was behind him. And
we helped him save face.
As we pointed this out, her face just dropped, and she just starts looking like daggers coming out of her eyes.
He bought the nice one. It was like $4,500.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, man, stuff happens. We got you, buddy.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
And sure enough, we made a phone call, kind of try to help a brother out here. Pulsar stepped up, took care of him, sent him a new one.
That was Pulsar. So I got a good one about AGM. Had a customer come in about 3 months ago, hadn't had his unit very long, maybe 3 weeks, and he goes, "Hey, I got a problem with my thermal," and I'm like, "Man, that's unusual. What happened?" He's like, "Well, I shot it," and
it's kind of hard to shoot when you're on top of your own gun.
It takes a second,
yeah,
right?
You got to process that.
You really got to sit there and think. And I look at him, and his son's with him and everything. I'm trying to, and then I just shake my head and I was like, I can't.
How?
You got to tell me how.
Yeah. Only way I'm helping you is how do you tell me?
Apparently had the unit on a gun rack on the front of his buggy. Pigs came out. He had another thermal unit rifle.
Oh, he got excited.
He jumped out of the unit and leaned across the hood of his side-by-side and pulled the trigger and
smoked
it. What's that called? The gap between the
optic offset.
The optic offset. Yeah, it'll get you every time.
Every time.
So
more hoods, windshields, and side mirrors are lost that way.
And apparently thermals.
And thermals.
And to the list. So I told him, I was like, brother, I will see what I can do for you. And he's like, man, if not, I understand. It's just so much. And I'm like, I got you.
I got you.
And they replaced it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's a certain amount of sympathy falls into that one. But
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So tell me this. Explain to me the differences in size, levels. When you start throwing these numbers out at me.
Yeah.
256, 384,
okay.
640, 19s, 25s, 35s, 50s. Like what does this mean to the average person that's just looking at the counter or just going online and going, I don't need this crap.
All right, so you're going to take a couple things into consideration when you listen to those numbers and everything. You're going to be looking at the internal processor speed. You're going to be looking at your base magnification, so your front objective size. All things that are going to come into play, and how tight your pixels are.
It's like resolution on TV.
That's exactly what it is. It is a TV and it is resolution. So it's just they've tricked the brain because we think we're looking through a scope. We're not actually looking through a scope. We're looking at a screen, and then we have a camera in front. But it's fluid, and that way it works with a rifle and everything. So what I'm paying for, the difference in that $1,000 and that. Let's go all the way up. The crazy. So from the bottom to the $16,000. That's a big gap. What's that big gap for? That big gap is for, hey, do I need target acquisition at 800 to 1,000 yards, or do I need target identification and the ability to shoot at 800 or 1,000 yards? So I'm paying for basically for clarity. And the width or the size of my image that I can see out there.
Your field of view.
Yep. And it really, especially with our predator hunters, it can mean. I mean, we have contests around here that the purse is $75,000-$80,000.
Del Weiss kind of gets crazy.
It does, and heck, they got 2 of them now. But and so the ability of just being able to see an extra 50 or 100 yards, or have that target identification at that extra 50 or 100 yards, could mean some serious money for these guys, and the big thing, especially with that top end, is the ability to confidently shoot that far. Because most of us night guys,
I played with that 1280 yesterday.
I know, I did too.
Dude.
Oh my God.
I'd take an 800-yard shot with it at night.
Yeah.
16x zoom, like I was looking at one.
Yep.
Is insane.
I was looking at...
And here's the thing, before we get too
insane.
deep in that, is that, so you have, right now, like 4 major jumps. You have 256, you have 384, 640, and 1280. Every one is twice the one before, and that's going to be that processor
And,
speed.
it's actually 4 times.
But that's
which
what
is
it does.
weird.
It gives you 4 times the resolution as you go up. So every time it's 4 times clear. And when we talk to folks, I'm like, think of it like TV. You've got 256 is your regular old school TV.
Yep.
And then you got the 1080, the 4K, and the bestest now, the 8K, right? The crazy clear. And that's kind of the way this is going. So, Jason, help me out here. I am an average. Yeah, I need a lot of help.
Average. Okay, I'll go with that. Yes, very.
I'm an average weekend guy.
Okay. Just a potty guy on the weekends. Yep.
I'm just a dude.
Just a dude trying to be. Okay, I got you.
This guy's a dude.
I'm
pretending
the
to be another
weekend
dude.
warrior.
I'm a weekend warrior. I
Yeah.
want to go out. I got 75, 80 acres,
Yes.
and I don't want to spend a ton of money. Well, here, how about this? Help. And I want a thermal scope. I know nothing about them.
Okay.
I just walked in. Help me pick out one.
Cool.
And I've got an AR, and it's probably what I want to put it on.
Okay. So a couple things I'm going to ask first is, you already answered one. How many acres? How much land you're looking at? One of the next questions I'm going to ask is, hey, do you have cattle or any type of livestock on your property? Are you going to have the threat of a calf getting out of a pen and walking through the woods, and or are you going to know that the back of your property that's always going to be a pig if it's walking through right there? Not that you're going to shoot at that distance, but just for peace of mind, because it has happened. People have made that mistake. If they're like, no, and I'm only going to go out once. Truthfully, I only visit the property on the weekends. I'm probably only going to go out every once a month,
If I'm lucky.
yeah. And so I just need to I need to walk on my back porch, be able to see what's going on. I'm not mad at them like I used to be. I'm not going to spend all night out there chasing them. I just need to be able to walk out and see if they're there.
But I don't want to buy a piece of junk either.
But I don't want to buy a piece of junk. I'm going to steer them like I do a lot of times to either the TS19 256 with the 8x AGM or the TS25 256. And the difference on those is your front objective, right? It's your field of view. Same processor.
The 19 is the lower base mag. The 25 has a little more, but you're also you're losing a little bit of field of view.
Yeah.
And I'm going to interject in my own question here. When I tell people, the next question is probably like, well, how much zoom do I need? You don't think of this like a regular rifle scope. If you're coming from that mindset, it's completely different. With the night vision thermal game, you're not shooting 200, 300, 400 yards like you would with a day scope. This is you're letting the wind work in your favor. You're letting darkness work in your favor. They can't really see. It's pitch black. So you're not taking that long shot. Most are going to be 50, 100 yards.
Yeah, and if you're not doing that, then that's when we don't need to look at the really expensive ones, because most people aren't. You already told me, if I was talking to the guy, hey, I'm only going to be out for a minute. You're not going to need necessarily something with 20 hours of backup battery life. There's, and a lot of times they'll say, well, I don't care about its ability to film or this. I want the simplest thing. And these are the guys who want what we talked about earlier. that ease of operation. They don't want to learn anything new or any more than they have to. And then, so I would steer them on that one to the AGM.
Yeah.
And then if they're still super frustrated about,
and then from there, kind of pick the resolution.
Yeah.
We'll take all 3 levels
All of them
out
out.
and go, all right, here's this one costs A, and this one costs B, and this one costs C. You can make that decision point yourself, looking through them.
I'll tell a lot of them too if they're still super nervous about setting it up and everything, because I'll try to explain. All these models have what they call a one-shot zero. So if you know how to operate it, if you watch that YouTube video, you can zero these in one shot. I try to explain the picture-in-picture to them because they all have picture-in-picture. It's invaluable when you're hunting, because what it does is it shows a magnified, a zoomed in photo on the top of your screen of your center reticle. And what that allows you to do is, if you use that top screen for your first shot, you can ear hole, the first pig drops, then drop your eye down, and you can start doing the center body mass shots with that wider field of view. You can watch the whole herd run. And
Now you're not over zoom trying to play catch up. It's just wiggly.
Exactly. So, but when I start explaining that to them, and they start glassing over, I'll be like, hey, you want the one that you can just turn on and start shooting, right?
That's
and
the
like,
Rattler,
yeah,
by far.
All right. You got a grandkid? You got a kid that's just a little tech savvy? Give the rifle to them. Let them do all the sighting in and everything, and hand it back to you, and then just make sure they teach you how to turn it on and turn it off. And if that's the bare bones all you're looking for, then yeah, the AGM is definitely the way I roll, for sure.
And then for me, let's say that you're looking for that next level. Maybe you've already got into night vision and thermal. You're comfortable with it, but like everybody, we see this a lot with suppressors, or it's long range guns, or anything. Before you get in that next hobby where you're going to spend serious money, you want to kind of
get your toes wet.
And that's where the Rattler and the $1,000, $1,500 thermals come into play.
Now we also get a lot of the guys that walk in,
They
right?
want something,
And they say, hey, this is going to be a buy once, cry once. I don't want the cheapest thing you got.
And this is what I tell folks is that, and I know you've heard me tell this 100 times, I'm not a tech guy. I don't geek out.
Obviously, as you spin the mic around.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, guys. I talk with my hands. And so I'm not a tech guy. I don't geek out over tech. Heck, the last time I bought a TV was 12 years ago.
Wow.
It's going to work till it dies. And the main thing for me, and where most people relate with this, I don't buy a new phone every time the next iPhone comes out. It comes out every year. It's marginally different than last time. I'm going to buy a phone.
Yeah, you do, because you break yours at least once a year.
Pretty and that's a whole different reason, sir.
He just thought about it. He's like, oh, you butthole.
I do.
Like 3 years in a row.
The last one I drove over with the tractor.
It happens. Country life.
You're sitting there trying to turn around and grade your driveway, and it's going to wiggle out your pocket. Anyways, I was like, that's a funny looking rock. All right. So, but for me, perfect example of this, when I drive over my phone with the tractor, I don't go out and buy the cheapest phone I can get. I'll go out and buy the newest, the most advanced one I can get, because it's electronic.
Yeah.
Every 6 months, every year, there's going to be a new model. It's going to get cheaper. It's going to, get faster, better
the
pictures,
technology is going to double every 2 years.
It's going to increase, right? And so, in that whole bell curve of life, if I'm at the very leading edge of what is the best, the greatest, the nicest right now, it's going to stay relevant the longest. If I'm already on the downhill slope of that bell curve, it's going to get further and further behind, and I probably get frustrated with that. So I always tell people to buy the best that you can afford. Everyone's got budgets. I 100% understand. We're no different than everybody else. But get something you're happy with. And for me, a lot of what, if you're not looking for the simplest, just turn a button on and go, you're a little tech savvy, you're comfortable with it, you're looking for that next level, something a little nicer. What I'm going to do is I want the most bang for my buck, and I don't know how I'm always going to hunt, and I don't know how I'm going to hunt, and I don't know what I'm always going to hunt, but I want to be covered across the board.
Right.
So for me, I kind of tend to this way with something like the Pulsar Thermion or the iRay Bolt, because if you look at it, it looks like a regular rifle scope, just the same. 30 millimeter rings, whole 9 yards. It's got the same eye relief of a regular rifle scope. And what I'm doing is I might go shoot, I don't want to get kicked off YouTube, so I'm going to call it a raccoon. But I'm gonna go. I might be getting rid of some corn bandits at my feeder one night just because they're just wrecking shop and eating everything I spin out. I might be, maybe I got a bobcat problem. Maybe I am working coyotes. Maybe I'm going pig hunting. And I have different tools for the job. And what's nice about it, and they will all do this, but I like it in the Pulsar the best, and especially the Thermion here, is that because I can run standard 30 millimeter rings, I will go out and buy either Midwest Industries or AGM's their cantilever 30 millimeter QD set.
The quick detach.
Because it's their quick detach return to zero, and it'll hold 5 different zero profiles. So back to the same thing we said earlier, as long as you put it back in the same slot, and on my bolt guns, I'm putting them just like you said, the very last one.
Yep.
And then on my ARs, I'm just marking them. And I can tell it, okay, tonight I'm going pig hunting, so it's on my Ruger SFAR 308, it's on profile A. But maybe we got a Predator competition coming up, and it's shotgun only. I can put it on my Benelli M4 and say it's on profile C.
And you can name these. You don't have to keep them profile A, profile C. You can actually name them like 308, 12 gauge. Yeah.
And then and these are my real profiles. That's why I got out of order. Number B or letter B for me is my 17 HMR. I'll sit there at a feeder and I'll sit there and just shoot coons and possums and whatever else.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of money for it because I can move it around. And even within those like ABC, I can have different distances, and it's tech savvy, and I can understand.
Kind of like the 30 cal suppressor. It's one to rule them all, right? One that you can, most universal.
And that's why when I bought it, I went top end with it. I spent the good money. I got the 640 with the 50 front objective and all the stuff because I wasn't buying another one.
I did the same thing with this one's the Thermion's predecessor, the Trail. I got the XQ50 6 years ago. Still a 640 processor, still relevant, still kills a lot of stuff. Still hunt with it a lot.
It's still great. For me, I haven't had a need to change or upgrade besides just wanting something different. I ended up getting an inexpensive one because my son Travis wants to go with me, and now I have a loaner because eventually you're gonna have a buddy who wants to go. Yeah. But this is why this one works the best for me because I don't mind the sub menus. I know the quick menus and the button pushes and all the stuff. I learned it. I watch the videos. I sell them. I play with them every day. And for me, I have the most mileage bang for my buck out of this one.
Yep.
Heck, I know guys are putting these on bolt guns, hunt axis with them.
Oh yeah, all types of exotics. All right, and then if I get the guy who comes in, he goes, "Hey, this is literally going to be the only one I ever buy," or I want the very best of the best. That's all I buy is the best. I want the best. Either that guy or the guy that comes in and says, "Hey, 4 weekends out of every month, I'm on somewhere in this state or traveling doing predator control."
If you're doing it for a living and you're doing it for money and you can afford it,
the IRA's the way to go.
It's the new IRA Rico RS75 1280. It is big. It's heavy. I'll give it that. But this is the next generation.
Yeah.
I don't know what's coming after.
It's like comparing a scope, like a weapons-mounted scope, to a telescope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it will blow your mind.
So I was playing it with it yesterday in the store because they're $16,000. I mean, there's no way around it. It's what they cost. Is what they are. And we got one in. A customer ordered one, and so he had picked it up yet. I called him. I'm like, "Hey, can I play with it?" And he's like, "Sure, check it out. I want you to mess with it so you can tell me how to operate." And I was like, "Done, sir." And so we're sitting there playing with it, looking at it, and making everything's charged. Looking across the store, I was looking at Dustin, and I zoomed in to 8 zooms. So basically, from front door to our back counter,
Right.
I could see the individual hairs of his beard.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, this is impressive. And so I go outside, and to the left, or the south of our store, there's a power line. And at the very far end of it, it's almost 850 yards. And there's a transformer. And, I got all set up. I put it on our little tripod so I was steady. I could tell you the exact shape of the transformer. It wasn't a blob. It wasn't a hot spot. I could tell you at 800 yards and on 16x zoom, that's a transformer.
Yeah. Well, what I found, so when you talked about seeing the whiskers, when I was using it at 80 yards, I can identify a person. And I don't mean, hey, that's a human. I know who you are. Like, it picks up facial features and the depth and everything enough. With a thermal, that's insane.
I want to try this today because I didn't have a lot of time yesterday. But as I was looking down the road,
I heard what you wanted to try yesterday. I heard you and Dustin talking about it.
Maybe.
You do not remember?
It's not.
Remember you were talking, it's so sensitive, you were wanting to see farts?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
And
that.
then Dustin got all excited and started walking around. I was like, he's trying to work one up.
Yeah, he was. Maybe. It'd be kind of funny.
Maybe.
I think it has to be colder for that.
Probably.
Yeah. Like if it's 30 degrees and it's 98 degrees, I bet we see it. But historically, and I don't know why this bothers me, but it's a weird or awkward feeling because when you look at glass, thermal traditionally doesn't look through glass. You have a thermal shadow. You can see your reflection in glass, and it's just
weird. Like looking in a mirror.
It weirds me out. I don't know why.
Dude, it's got me before. There used to be an old farmhouse, and it got me like 3 damn times where I would walk past it, and the trail I walked past to get to this other pasture, that farmhouse is probably, I don't know, 70 yards off. And between the trail I was on and that house, a lot of times there would be something. Mm-hmm. So I'd always have to glass that way. And every time I did, I would catch my own reflection pointing a gun at me, looking right back at me. And I don't know why.
Drop the gun!
That's it. I would start barking commands. Every time it scared the crap out of me. And I still don't understand how that works. But I don't want to think that hard.
Mm-mm. But what I was going to say is as the 18-wheelers were going north on 90, I could see through the windshield the side glass. So I wonder if it's now got such a high resolution, it'll look through glass.
Oh, wow. We'll have to play with it.
That was my big question yesterday. But that just shows you where the technology is heading. And then there's also probably
we forgot about, what Pulsar launched this year?
No, IRA.
No,
the Minion?
Pulsar. No, before the Minion, because we're talking about, if you want to go that next level, we got the IRA.
Oh, yeah.
Pulsar, what is it? It's 8,000?
Oh, the 1024.
Yeah.
The half step.
Yeah. So it's going to be right in between. It's substantially
cheaper, half the price.
It's half the price.
And I'd say 20% less. I mean, it's pretty damn impressive.
It is. So there are other options out there, and that's why we love getting you on the store because we put them side by side, and we'll figure out what you need.
And here's the most important part of what he just said was you can watch every manufacturer video, every YouTube, everything, and it will never, ever be the same as looking through it with your own eyeball. And I have played with every thermal on the market, and I have never seen one that was ever like the manufacturer videos.
And not disparaging or not saying anything bad about these, because if this is my product, I'm going to show it to you in the perfect conditions.
Oh yeah,
what it's capable of, and everything's just.
I wouldn't put it past to put just a little like photo editing to it. Make sure it pops.
No, people don't do that.
Come on, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Who would do something like that?
There's no filters. Next, you're going to say girls do it.
I feel bad.
I like it when I get the little shiny dot on the end of my nose. It makes me feel pretty. Anyways, so come into the store and try them. I don't know if anybody else does it. If they don't, they should. Because we've literally had, we had one gentleman, good God, it took him a long time. And I'm talking 2 or 3 times a week, hours, and he did that for like 3 weeks.
And he just go sit out on the porch.
And we would take him 4 or 5 different models, and he went through probably 30 models, just going back and forth and taking notes and everything.
But when he was done, it was the exact one he wanted, and he was very happy. And that's what he's doing. I'd watch him. He'd take notes, and he'd go home and he'd watch the videos, and he was comparing the video he was watching to what he looked at. Whether it's the same resolution, the clarity, the definition, whatever it was, and he made sure it was perfect for him. And that's what we want it to be for you. That's why we have. We've got the swing out front. We've got a picnic table over here on the north side of the building. That's
what they're for.
It is a place for you to come out and make a well-informed decision on what is a very expensive piece of electronics.
It's a big investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. So we talked about the different brands that we carry. We talked about the different uses for them and everything else. Let's talk about a little bit. I know everybody's got a good thermal story or two, but I'll tell one that's just strictly like we were talking about. You alluded to it at the beginning of it. Thinking outside the box, what you can use these for. Mine was fantastic. So as we stated earlier, all of these have an app. They record. You can link to it, which is really cool, which allows the person you're with to either take their phone or a tablet or whatever and see what you're seeing in real time.
Now that's what we do. I know where you're going with this, but that's what we do with our hunting rig. We mounted a one of our friends won an iPad at work, and so he's like, I didn't have a need for it, but I had a great idea. So in his buggy, he's got a high rack in the back. So you got two gunners up top, you got a driver, and you got a gunner in the front seat because we typically hunt as a group, right? Yeah. And as one person's driving, the screen that we mounted the front of his buggy is linked to one of the gunners up top. So you're seeing in real time what he's seeing. So if all of a sudden he's like, hey, I got some stuff over here, everybody else is looking at that screen and seeing what he's seeing. Like, oh, yeah, those are pigs. Or, oh, no, those are cows.
Yeah. And it makes it very interactive for everybody, even if we have non-shooters inside the buggy or kids. And that's where I'm going with this.
A lot of wives.
Yeah. They want to go. They want to feel the excitement. They don't want to pull the trigger. I get it.
Yep.
Or they're not capable for any reason. It pulls in the experience with them. Where this became invaluable and created one of the best experiences I ever had. When my son was 4 is not really old enough to. My son's a good shot at 4 with a steady, not freehanding anything, but we practice a lot. And now he's 7 and he can almost outshoot me, which isn't saying a lot, but he's good. But at 4 years old, I was able to go into a box blind with a tripod, put a 223 into it, and pointed at a feeder that was 100 yards away with a thermal on top. And then
the thermal does work during the daytime.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not shooting deer at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely. And so I linked to it, and I'm watching what he's got his little chair right there, and I'm watching. He's not moving anything. He's not holding a gun. The crosshairs are pretty much already under the feeder. He's just going to have to adjust when anything walks out. Sure enough, the doe that I wanted to walk out walked out. He was able to put the crosshairs on it and say, "Daddy, I'm ready." And I was like, "Oh, let me make a little adjustment." And he is as steady as a freaking rock. And it's so funny in that video because when I reach over and touch the gun to make the adjustment, I'm shaking so bad, it looks like an earthquake's happening through the screen. So I just take my hand off and I was like, you are good, buddy. Go ahead. And he pulled the trigger and dropped the doe. It was the first deer he ever shot. But what's so cool about it isn't just that I got to see what he was seeing through the screen. It was recording the entire time. So cool. I have that on film, our first hunt together, or his first deer. And dude, it's just, that's something I'll treasure forever. It's really cool. So that's something it allowed me to do that is kind of thinking outside the box. I know you in law enforcement, you used it for all kinds of other things.
It did. And my story's not kind of going that direction. I have them, and I'm more than happy to share at some point. But for me, when you buy these things, everyone thinks, oh, we're going hunting, right? That's the common, but I kind of get a kick out of hearing all the ways that people have found to get extra use out of them. And so for me, if y'all come to the store, y'all know I travel a lot, whether I'm hunting or running dogs or something. I'm not home all the time, and I live out in the country on a little bit of land in a very rural part of Texas, and when it gets dark, it's dark. And my dog's in the house, and as soon as they see something or sense something, they're going to bark. And, it would happen inevitably. It'd be some night, I'd be somewhere, and my wife'd be calling me, hey, the dogs are going nuts. Oh, okay, go figure it out. Well, I don't know what's out there. And so for the longest time, it was just flashlight. You shine the flashlight around. Well, I don't see anything. Oh, Becca, I don't know what to tell you. I'm 200 miles away. Figure it out, right? Nicer than that, but there's nothing I could do.
No, that's probably meaner than that. That's Jake.
Sink or swim.
You go out there now, shine that flashlight.
But after I got that thermal, Same thing happened one night. Dogs are going nuts because we got these big bay windows in the back. So because we did nothing but woods back there, so we want to see the woods. And they're going nuts. And Becker calls me. She's like, I can't find anything. They won't be quiet. I'm like, well, hey. And I had this light bulb moment. Hey, go grab my thermal. It's on the AR in the corner of the bedroom. It just happened to be where it was. I said, turn the power button on, let it boot up, open the front cap, and go look. And she looks, and she's like, okay, I'm going to keep you on the phone. And she's out there, and she's got the little gun, and she's looking. And the first thing I hear is, oh, my gosh, it's like daylight. I can see everything. I'm like, well, yeah, that's the point of this thing. This is why I spent the money, so we can hunt at night. And she's like, okay. I'm like, well, just look around, see if you see anybody or something in case, something's happening. And she's like, okay, I'm looking. She's like, I don't see anything. And then all of a sudden, just inside the tree line, and I told her, like, look for, I like white hot. I said, look for anything that's just glowing white and moving. That's going to be whatever the heck it is. And about that time, just 3-5 yards inside the tree line, armadillo.
Nice.
And the dogs are just losing their mind at this armadillo. She's like, oh, hey, I'm sorry. It's an armadillo. It's okay. I'm like, there you go.
Hey.
Well, and now I don't get near the phone calls because she understands.
She's
like,
comfortable with it.
Just go turn it on
Yeah.
and look, and you'll figure it out. Some of the other things I found that's funny is the number of guides or folks in the trades that use them in unusual ways. A lot of the homeowners, and this is just thinking outside the box here. I've had some beekeepers use it to find bees inside of walls.
Yep.
Because
I've heard that one.
The bees make a hot spot. Plumbers finding leaks because it's cold.
Yep.
And then I had another fella used it for like 2 weeks. He's like, I went out every night and walked around, and I found out where my AC was like leaking out of the house.
I've done that.
And he goes,
I did that one.
Went a little spray foam, put it in place.
That's exactly what I
and
did.
Sealed my house up, so my AC bill actually went down.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing out of my shop. So I had the scariest moment hunting because of a thermal.
Oh yeah, dude. I've been there with you on this one. I already know where you're going.
So I had chickens.
It's the cuckooey.
I didn't like my chickens and ducks were going away at an alarming rate, and I was killing so many raccoons and foxes and bobcats.
It's got to be a hard. I mean, not that they think this level, but it's got to be a hard life realizing everything likes you.
Yeah, everything's gonna eat you. Coyotes like every night because I have motion cameras everywhere. I get alerts. And 2-3 times a night, I mean, I'm getting up and I'm trying to defend my son's chickens because he's got a little, 6-7 years old. He's got a little company he made called Jace's Yummy Eggs, and he sells his eggs. And his chickens every single night were losing at least one. And so I'm doing everything I can to defend my little buddy's chickens. So one night, motion light goes off or whatever. I don't see anything. So I grab the thermal, grab the rifle, walk out, and then at the end of my driveway, about 60 yards off, 50 yards off, there is
a demon,
a something, right?
It's the cuckooey.
It stands about, but no body heat because I've got it on white hot. Just the opposite, like soul sucking pitch black, and it stands about. It looks to me about 4 feet tall, has horns.
I saw this in Vegas. It's an alien.
It has
no, it's an alien.
Right, close. Has horns, and then. All of a sudden, as I'm looking at it, I'm like, what the hell is that? These 2 neon white eyes just open up and stare at me and just glaring. And so I've got this perfect demon shape. And I'm looking at it. And next thing I know, it starts hobbling off. And I'm like, what? And then, so I also have I call it my cleanup light. I have an actual light, a Surefire light on the side of my AR with the laser in it. And when I'm walking up, if I shoot a bunch of pigs, I'll walk in behind them, and so I don't have to look through my thermal.
A little coup de grace.
Yeah, I'll just put the laser on them and toot, clean everything up. So I hit it with that light. It's a great horned owl. So apparently, great horned owls, the only heat they project is through their eyeballs, and their silhouette looks like they have horns. And when they this one happened to be, and then I kept seeing him all the time. He got to where he was running around getting snakes and mice in my yard and stuff. But they actually they skip. They kind of run around on the ground. And good God, that was scary. Damn owls.
Yeah. Well, guys, Appreciate y'all listening.
Are we already there?
We've
Dang
got
it.
tons of hunting stories and thermal stories. And
Oh, yeah. I got a good one. When you come in, ask the story about where I had to get naked and jump in freezing water to save a thermal. Yeah, that's a good one.
No, it is a good one. The early days of Circle Star.
days of Circle Star.
So, yeah, come in. This is what, we say to every episode, but this is what we're here for. Try to make the confusing less confusing, trying to help you make that informed decision, especially on something that is as technical and as expensive as a thermal or night vision. We didn't even touch on the night vision side of stuff.
We'll do that in another episode.
Yeah. We may actually get Ben up here for that because you start getting into acronyms and stuff.
Yeah.
My brain hurts.
Yeah.
But come in, we'll pull them all out of the counter, we'll show it to him, we'll get there's no time limit, spend all day, play with them all, check them all out, and get that right one for you. And then,
leave confident in your decision.
That way, you're sure, you're happy with your purchase, you're confident.
Nobody here is going to rush you. No, I mean we don't do that. Mm-hmm. If it takes multiple trips for you to make your mind up, then
that's what it takes.
That's what it takes. That's good because that means you're doing your homework, your research, and by the end of it, you'll probably know more than us about them.
There you go.
So,
and speaking of making informed decisions, tell your mom and them about us.
Let them know. It's the only way the word gets out. Yeah, you could also
do the things like, share, and subscribe.
Go to our website. You can also get onto our weekly newsletter, which is awesome. We are setting it up to where we have weekly events. Mm-hmm. So
trying to have some fun.
Yeah, we're trying to we're doing it for several reasons, right? One, because we have a lot of other companies out there, especially in this business, whether it's one of these thermal companies or suppressor company or rifle company, they want to be a part of, vendor days or being able to show off their products and stuff.
It's a great way for them to connect with their customer base.
Yeah, and they bring swag. They give free stuff away.
Who doesn't like free stuff?
And we really want to do stuff afterward because our problem is every time we run into town, even if you're going not to spend money, it's $100 every time.
Every time.
And if we're going to do it I
got to go tonight. I'm not looking forward to it.
Last Friday of this month, we're going to do a whiskey and cigar night. Mm-hmm. And start doing stuff like that to where everybody can bring their favorite bottle of whiskey and we can, try it, or guy movie night. And
here's the thing with it, and we've talked about this before. We want you to be comfortable in who you're dealing with. We want you to know that we're not just bullshitting you, that we are the guys who we said we are. Here's our experience, here's our information. We want you comfortable with us, and we've lost that in the Amazon world. You don't know who you buy from. You don't know if their opinion is valid or warranted.
Yeah, it's the whole Costco thing. Like this is,
we're not a warehouse.
Yeah, and if somebody's trying to sell, if we're selling you something, it's because we've tested it, found we have the hard job of taking all these thermals out and hunting with them.
You know how hard that is,
and trying to and here's the thing: we've got 3 models in the store. There's probably 20 manufacturers of these. We've vetted through all of them. And it's come down to this.
And if you decided you want one that we don't stock, we are a vendor for everybody.
We'll always get it
We just keep the ones in here that we stand behind the most. We have the best success with. We know their customer service side. It meets our standards. The products meet our standards. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones we like.
That's it, man. Yeah. And they're all great.
Where stuff goes boom, explodes. I just like snakes and sparklers.
Nope, we don't do that.
No snakes and sparklers here.
Awesome, guys. Well, we appreciate you. If you get an opportunity, come into the store, say hi, shake a hands, tell us some of your stories because we love listening to other hunting stories or experiences in the outdoors. Mm-hmm. And like Jake said, tell your mom and them about us. We appreciate it. The store,
great place to be.
The podcast is getting bigger and bigger, and it's all because of you guys. We appreciate it.
So, appreciate you guys.
Bye. Y'all have a good one.
Bye, y'all.
You've been listening to the Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors podcast with your hosts Jake Cawthon and Jason Westmoreland. Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. New episodes drop every Monday and catch up in between episodes on the Circle Star Minute every Friday. For more information, visit CircleStarFirearms.com, or better yet, come see our great new store at 6320 Highway 90 in Anderson, Texas. Until next time, safe shooting, folks.